Well, good evening, welcome along. It's the Carabao Cup third round at the Acu Stadium. League Grant's Huddersfield Town of League One hosts the Premier League giants Manchester City, the 8 times winners of this competition. Huddersfield are 5th in League One. Their recent form has been indifferent in truth. 4 points from 4 league games with no win in 2. But they have beaten Premier League opposition in Sunderland in this competition. City won the Carabao Cup 4 times in a row under Pep Guardiola. It's a tournament that's been dominated by the richer clubs in recent years, although City haven't won it since 2021. City players have made a relatively short journey, a little bit north-east to Huddersfield. It's one of 4 Carabao Cup ties this evening. All of them are Premier League against League One, the third tier of English football. Had a victory last night when Cardiff defeated Burnley at Turf Moor. Well, it's a decent crowd inside the Acu Stadium for Huddersfield Town against Manchester City. Huddersfield spent a lot of money in the summer. They backed their new man, Lee Grant, with an aim of getting back up to the Championship. It wasn't that long ago that they were playing City in the top division of English football, although City have had a lot of joy against Huddersfield in recent meetings. Huddersfield haven't won against City since the turn of the millennium. There's a lot of flag wavers, a lot of youngsters, a lot of, as you may have seen, hoping for a little acknowledgement from the Manchester City players. Only the great Gianluigi Donnarumma stopped and gave a little bit of a high five to some of the kids outside. The City fans have seen their side win a lot of trophies over recent seasons. Can this be another? Well, the last meeting between Huddersfield Town and Manchester City finished 5-0 to City in the FA Cup in 2023-24. Phil Foden got a couple. He is one of the players in the City side tonight. Little team news spoiler for you. City had put a decent looking team out. There's a big crowd inside the Acu Stadium, and there's plenty of people on the pitch as well. It hasn't been going too well for Huddersfield in the league, and obviously their second favourites, but it's a great opportunity. John Driscoll and Sam Parkin in the commentary position for this one, and it's if nothing else, it's a great opportunity for these Huddersfield players.
Yeah, great occasion for them, the nights that you don't expect to come around too often when you're a League One footballer. I was fortunate to watch Lincoln give it a really good go last night against Chelsea. I don't think there'll be similarities in that type of game in contrast to tonight. I think this is, not to be disrespectful towards Lincoln, but their strength is their physicality, putting the Premier League team under pressure. I think Huddersfield are a team this season that are going to really try and dominate possession, have the ball. That can be dangerous against the elite. So tonight, it'll be interesting to see how Huddersfield go. If they try and keep the ball on the deck and play through the thirds, I think you can get stung. I think ultimately you have to try and test Manchester City's resolve with high energy, tempo, tackles, aggression. We'll wait and see if Huddersfield have got that in their armoury as well.
Well, Manchester City haven't been beaten by a side from a lower division since Will Grigg was on fire back in 2018 for Wigan Athletic, and I remember that game. They did put it to the rich boys from the Premier League, turned them round, made it difficult for them. There's a red card as well on that occasion. It's not a bad Manchester City side that comes out, though. They haven't exactly sent out a load of kids. We'll get to the team news shortly. There was a famous meeting in November 1987 when Manchester City beat Huddersfield Town by 10 goals to 1. Back in those days, they were in the same division. It was a freakish result, the kind of result that Huddersfield will be absolutely determined does not happen tonight. They will be keen to emulate the likes of Cardiff, who defeated a Premier League opposition in Burnley yesterday evening. Well, Huddersfield made 7 changes from their goalless draw with Burton at the weekend. Their top scorer, Joe Taylor, and the highly rated Alfie May are among those left on the bench. We think that they'll have an extra player in midfield. Northern Ireland international Dion Charles returns to the front line. Zepiquendo Redmond is a Dutch forward who's on loan from Aston Villa. So City make 9 changes, but it's not a rookie team. Nico O'Reilly and Phil Foden are the 2 who stay in from the Arsenal game. Erling Haaland has a sore back. Husanov, Vardior, Bernardo Silva and Doku are also out of the squad entirely. The whole of the bench from Sunday play, including 18-year-old Divine Mukasa, who makes his senior debut. Calvin Phillips, who's been at the birth of his second child, makes the bench. Congratulations to him. As do a couple of youngsters with a famous surname, Jaden and Regan Heskey, are sons of Emil, a 4-times winner of this competition. Match referee is Michael Salisbury. He is not helped by VAR, helped or hindered, depending on your point of view. Well, Lee Grant had a lot of praise, of course, for Pep Guardiola. Said he's rewritten how football is played all the way down to park football. He's got a point, of course. Sam Parkins picked out a couple of players for us.
Yeah, Dion Charles made the relatively short move from Bolton Wanderers a few months ago, and I was convinced that his goal-laden form would continue. Still searching for his first goal in blue and white of Huddersfield. Big opportunity from tonight with real competition in that position with Alfie May and Joe Taylor, of course, now at the club. So he'll be highly motivated to stake his claim tonight. And the man he's got to be in the headlines for not the reasons he would have liked at this early point of the season. He can't be happy with how it's played out. He would have been so elated to rejoin Manchester City, and now, unfortunately for him, he's going to have to rate the majority of the time on the sidelines and wait for the great Donnarumma to make an error or two. So he'll be, again, really wanting to do well this evening.
Well, Pep Guardiola said that they didn't arrive at the Carabao Cup in their perfect situation because they've got a number of players who are injured, but he says he respects the competition, and I think the evidence suggests that that's the case. Obviously, the guys who played a lot of Premier League football are rested, but he sent out a team that he thinks can beat Huddersfield Town, and a lot of very good players. And we'll be hoping that if it is comfortable, he might be able to get a couple of talented youngsters onto the pitch. So Manchester City have changed into black. Huddersfield Town are in the blue and white. 5 clubs from the Premier League have been dumped out of this competition by sides who play in lower divisions. Huddersfield will be hoping to add the name of Manchester City to that role. Fascinating to see the approach of the Terriers. They reside with their spending, with their reputation, expected to dominate games in League One. They had 70% of possession the other day against Burton. Different challenge, of course, entirely against the great Manchester City.
Yeah, I think we're going to see, obviously, Manchester City very controlled, very comfortable in possession, technically exceptional. But Huddersfield, for a team in the 3rd tier, I think we're going to be seeing the sight of a team as wanting to play through the thirds and roll out from the goalkeeper. And there has been a little bit of growing frustration. I think the mere fact that they've lost to 2 near neighbours in recent times, and a goalless draw with lowly Burton at the weekend, not doing anything really to quiet the doubters. So they'll need a performance tonight. Listen, it's going to be a tough ask to get any kind of result against Manchester City, a stocked Manchester City with this quality 11 that Pep Guardiola has gone with, but they need a performance, Huddersfield.
Well, I was about to say it was hard for Huddersfield to get the ball when Nunez passed it straight out of play. So Huddersfield could reach the 4th round of this competition for the first time since 2000. Steve Bruce was the manager. I believe he would have been able to name the Huddersfield Town manager from that year. Trafford takes a gamble. Now, did he get that inside the penalty area? He did, by a whisker.
Yeah, he's fortunate, just hesitates. And Charles not the quickest. I think Ben Wiles just put a little bit too much on the pass for him, but didn't give it up, the centre forward, and he was a little bit fortunate there, Trafford, if indeed he was inside the 18-yard box.
It's such a harsh situation, isn't it? Because Newcastle have put a bid in of 31 million, which meant that, therefore, City had to match that in order to get him to the club, which they did. And it looked like a good career move, but then the great Donnarumma becomes available for less than they pay for Trafford.
Yeah, it's tough for him. I think especially after the great success of last season, where, I mean, it was a season like no other really at Burnley. The defensive numbers, the amount of clean sheets. He's clearly ready for that step into the Premier League, to be playing week in, week out. So he's going to have to dust himself down again, produce on a night like tonight, and wait for an opportunity to get back into the first team. But that could be a fair old wait, couldn't it, with one of the world's greatest now at the club.
Let's see if we can take a closer look at whether this was inside the penalty area.
Yeah, you can see Stones and Aki kind of in control. I think he's just about made the right decision there, grasped it just as it went over the white line.
No VAR, but cleared and checked by Sam Parkin, so we'll say that was okay.
It was interesting. Huddersfield splitting as if they were going to roll it out to one of the centre halves, and then Nichols clips it nicely into the body of Ben Wiles, gets them up the pitch.
And that's his Sorensen is the right back, and now the experience. Marcus Harness was in a hurry.
There's going to be a degree of fluidity. We know that about Manchester City's front line. I think the profile of player they've got in the 11 tonight, in the front positions, Bob, Foden, Mikasa, even Savinho to a lesser extent. I think they'll be flexible, adaptable where they take up their positions. We're probably going to be looking at maybe one or two false nines. And Huddersfield, I think, certainly Harness, Redmond, they can play off either side. Dion Charles has played off the right in the cup competition earlier in the season, so maybe a little bit of rotation amongst that front three as well.
There's Nunez and Oscar Bob on the right side at the start of the game. He was making real progress, Oscar Bob, and then he suffered a leg fracture followed by a hamstring injury as he was recovering. Nico Gonzalez very quickly recovers the ball, but Huddersfield win it again. Charles lays it off, and Kasumu then drove into a little bit of space. He's frustrated that the ball couldn't find a teammate. Savinho with a chance to get on the ball for the first time, and he's going to give the fullback a problem, delivers it into the penalty area. Early promise there from the Brazilian, and Nunez joins in. Bob in support. Back it comes to John Stones, and Phil Foden. Good pressure on Phil Foden, but you don't expect him to panic. Nunez spreads it wide to Savinho again. Sorensen had a toe to it. There's a player down for Huddersfield. The referee's given a free kick their way.
It looks like maybe an arm in the face. One of the Huddersfield defenders just getting back into the 18-yard box as Savinho made inroads down the left-hand side.
Sean Rowan who's down, isn't it? So he's on the edge of the penalty area. It's a finger or something in the face from Mikasa.
Yeah, he's just trying to get himself free, isn't he, Mikasa? Nothing in that. Probably right, just probably a finger in the eye. He'll be fine, I'm sure. I mean, it's difficult enough, I think, preparing for any game against Premier League opposition, but for Manchester City, it's a completely different proposition.
Yeah, so their domination of this competition is at an end. They haven't won it since 2021. They've lost against Premier League clubs in all of those games that you can see in recent seasons.
And the interesting thing tactically so far is Nico O'Reilly is the kind of inverting fullback at the moment when they're in possession. back there now in a kind of left-back berth on the ball, but he's going into midfield actually higher than a holding midfield player, actually going kind of an attacking midfield role. And Foden, Mikasa, as we anticipated, kind of both playing centrally, but not right up there against Huddersfield's two centre-halves. So they're going to be floating around, getting into pockets of space in between the midfield and defence. It can be really difficult, especially Feeney and Wallace, two aggressive Huddersfield centre-halves who probably want to have a fight against physical centre-forwards. You're going to have these floaty kind of number 10s to have to try and deal with.
Savinho inside, he comes to Phil Foden. Two players who could have collected that, didn't quite know who the target was, but Bob gets there and he goes inside of Redmond, but the Dutchman got a toe to the ball. And Savinho again, and they send a second man out to try and give Sorensen a little bit of support. Ball over the top, and Redmond try and put a bit of pressure on the referee, but that's never a foul.
Great defending, Nunez, but terrific ball from Sorensen. It's different because it's on the other foot today for Huddersfield. They're going to have to soak up a lot of pressure. They've been the ones dominating possession in League One action, so they're going to have that outlet, and that's going to come through Harness and Redmond with their athleticism. They're going to have to play long down the sides at times to try and spring.
Oscar Bob dribbling into the penalty area, and then the shot came from Mikasa. Well blocked. Huddersfield had plenty back, as you would expect. Nunez. Bob is wide again. Foden. Big responsibility on Phil Foden. I trust somebody somewhere is counting the passes that City are putting together. We'll see the possession stat at some point. It will be very high. It is their penetration as well. Foden tries to provide that, but it's good work again by Sipiquendo Redmond, and then it's carelessly given away. Nico Gonzalez with the interception.
See how hard the wingers are working already, especially Redmond down on this near side, almost in a back six as Manchester City probe him and Harness back alongside the fullbacks.
Rico Lewis, who made the burst forward from a midfield position, which is apparently what he prefers to play in. Of course, we've seen him just about everywhere. Well, there's your passes, 108 already completed by City.
I wouldn't imagine it goes into four figures too frequently, but we may see that tonight.
And they have a couple of big guys to come up as well. Corner goes towards the back post, and it's won by a City player. Mikasa, who got on the end of it.
I suppose these scenarios are the ones you expect the League One side to be able to defend more competently than that. That would be a sore one to concede from a dead ball.
And Wiles wins the free kick. Well, Lee Grant was at Manchester United at the end of his career. Actually had a 4-year spell where he was essentially the senior reserve goalkeeper, but for a long time he was a good goalkeeper throughout the English Football League. There's Sorensen with a burst forward, a defensive test for City. And it's won by Nico O'Reilly, won really well. Aki. Beautifully taken by Savinho. It's a little careless with the pass.
Yeah, unfortunate for Huddersfield. It was a lovely little bit of play. Expect Sorensen to get on his bike down the flank, Harness to tuck infield. I think they'll roll in the wingers and try and encourage the fullbacks to get forward. And Sorensen's a good footballer. On the ball, he's going to have his work cut out up against O'Reilly if they get into a race.
If you haven't been following the Carabao Cup, there's no extra time. So it goes straight to penalties if it's level at 90 minutes. 3 Premier League clubs have gone out on penalties against lower division sides. 4 ties going on. We don't have goals yet.
That's a good picture of O'Reilly's starting position when they're in build-up. Lewis on the ball there as well. Both kind of up there in advanced midfield positions, either side of Phil Foden. So just the one kind of midfield anchor in Gonzalez. Obviously, you're not going to have too many players behind the ball up against League One opposition, but still, it's the different patterns, the questions they ask of you.
Here's Foden trying to ask those questions, and now Oscar Bob. Mukasa is in a winger position now, and then he finds Bob. Clipped in and past everybody. So they're dominating positionally, they're dominating in terms of possession, but not really creating chances.
No, maybe not the best example there, because he's quite close to goal, Bob, and completely within his right to just dink one in towards the intended targets. But everyone kind of coming towards the ball, nobody attacking it with vigour. Everyone probably looking for that little slip ball into feet. They need someone to just threaten the back line.
Nichols is the Huddersfield goalkeeper, playing it short. He's won his place back in the team. He's been a good goalkeeper over many years, Lee Nichols. That's too much from David Kasumu. Again, Stones, Ake come forward. Nico Gonzalez is a big man as well. Foden for Manchester City tries to dink it into a near post area. Where's it gone out? It's gone out for a throw in. Dion Charles. So we're up at the first goal of the night now. Palhinha for Spurs. Premier League have the advantage against the League One in this battle to find out which is best, Sam, the Premier League or League One.
I'd love to bring something to the table, but I think I was always defeated quite heavily in this matchup.
Savino is wide, and Sorensen was quickly at him with harness at his back. But Savino has it again. This time he crosses early to his other winger, Oscar Bob. Redmond's defensive work has been good so far. Nunez, who is the right back, I know we keep seeing him in midfield, but that's the brief. O'Reilly. John Stones. Bob is still patient from Manchester City. We haven't seen anyone really pull the trigger from long range yet. Newcastle are winning as well, the Premier League clubs exerting their dominance. Savinho was on the charge there. Now Harness, signed from Ipswich Town, muscled out of it very quickly by Nico Gonzalez. Spurs 2-0 up against Doncaster. Foden turns, gets it back again, now he shoots, what a goal, Phil Foden! Well, they had to be patient, but then they found their way through, and the quality shone through. It was accurate, it was powerful, and it was unstoppable.
Majestic finish, hasn't got a lot to hit there, really. Nichols springs to his left-hand side, but he's not going to stop that. It arrows into the corner, patient again from City, and then Foden just speeds it up quick. 1-2 with a young lad, Mikasa, and then a thrilling finish. Gets real pace on it, and it's into the side netting. Nichols is not going to get a touch on that, unfortunately for him. Turning away from him all the time, and Foden just keeps on impressing.
Well, second of the season for Phil Foden. He scored against Manchester United as well. How important he could be for City if he's fully fit and firing all season.
And it comes just as I was thinking how well Huddersfield were doing, how little City had threatened them, and all of a sudden, when you're looking for someone to be the catalyst, Phil Foden gets on the ball, quick 1-2. Not even a chance, is it, really? It's half a chance at best. Arrows it into the corner, and that's just the confidence and the rhythm that he's currently playing with.
Can Huddersfield have a spell of possession? Can they have a spell where they threaten? Murray Wallace, I think, is a little early there with the forward ball.
Yeah, I think tough when the game plan has been fine to this point. They've limited City to next to nothing, and then someone pulls something magnificent out of nowhere. There's not really been any gaps. There's not been any space behind for City to exploit yet. Top quality player just conjures a moment of brilliance, and you're behind and having to probably look at one or two different things.
Well, Asula has scored a second for Newcastle. It looked like it was a misplaced pass, but instead Foden seizes on it. Comes scurrying forward, O'Reilly. John Stones joining in. Oscar Bob is wide. Foden slings it wide again to Savinho. Mikasa. There's that possession at 81%. Not just that the passing is good, but they're so good at winning it back quickly as well. Here's Bob.
It's tough for Redmond at the moment. Essentially, he's playing at left back without the ball, going 1v1 up against Bob. The way they're doing it is Harness is coming in field and picking up O'Reilly, leaving Sorensen 1v1 with Savinho on the other side. So different roles for the two wingers who are tracking back for Huddersfield. But tough on Redmond, who has not had probably any opportunities to get going at his opposite number in Manchester City's half.
Savinho stopped Sorensen and then accelerated, but he sticks to his task well. Again, a little acceleration. The cross has boomed up into the air, and Rico Lewis was in there. I don't think he made any contact with it though as he had a swing. Okay, and wide again to Savinho.
There's clearly a real danger of getting past off the pitch, and Manchester City exploiting gaps if you open up against them. But you know, I go back to the point I made earlier. This is Huddersfield very much in a different guise to the way that they've been playing this season. You know, they're trying to play with a high intensity at the top end of the pitch, get after opposition. As you can see here, they're just retreating and trying to play deep and trying to play compact. And at the moment, yeah, they're finding it tricky because they're finding gaps now.
And here's O'Reilly, dinked into the penalty area over the head of Rico Lewis. It's not the biggest, of course, to be on the end of a cross. Nunes and Foden takes it so well, darts into this similar position from which he scored. Savinho's first touch is very good. The cross is deflected. Feeney got something on it, and then Sorensen clears.
He had to make a quick decision there. Savinho, was the angle good enough to fire left-footed towards the far corner? Or did he indeed decide to just dink it back towards a teammate? He went for the latter. Foden again, just taking it on his back foot. So at ease, need to get a little bit tighter, Huddersfield, there, because he's dictating proceedings.
Bob against Rowan. Savinho. Nunez looking for the Brazilian again. Up goes Wallace to head it away. Nico Gonzalez does his job, which he's done very effectively in this game. And the ball back so quickly. There we are, completing the set. Arsenal are leading against Port Vale as well. Now Oscar Bob. Bob accelerates away from Redmond this time. Now he goes down. The referee is happy enough with that. Nunes. Foden available. Bob into the box again. He drags it to Rico Lewis. Every outfield player on the pitch within about 10 yards of each other. And Bob gets away. And comes back inside again. Ricochets around now. Can Harness get Huddersfield up the pitch? Perhaps even buy them a free kick. Does really well. Sorensen. Okay, turns on the afterburners.
Actually, without the ball, you can see that Redmond and Sorensen almost playing as wing-backs. It looks like Wiles is playing tucked in off the left-hand side rather than as a 10. So I think it does probably flip between systems in and out of possession, but certainly without the ball, Redmond's back alongside his back three, and Sorensen likewise on the other flank.
They have a free kick against Murray Wallace there for the challenge on Divine Mikasa.
Yeah, just mistimed, horribly mistimed, in fact. Wallace nowhere near the ball. And not only are we looking at a Huddersfield side that are playing a different style tonight, in contrast to the league form, but it looks like the system has been altered as well, which is, yeah, ultra defensive, which you understand, but different to the league programme thus far.
Well, Lee Nichols has been beaten once already by Phil Foden. A four-man wall. Very much in Phil Foden territory. And Foden, this time, is way off the target.
Full of confidence, been a difference maker so far. Looks energised since that goal as well, taking it in close quarters, manipulating the ball, all the facets of his game that has got everyone so excited throughout his career thus far. Right back performing at a consistent high level, which is great to see.
And Voss couldn't control the ball in the midfield. The black shirts are all over you in a blink of an eye. Hit this time by John Stones. I guess from Lee Grant, he must have taken into account the possibility of conceding relatively early in the game, and I guess the game plan is not to change too much too early.
No, I don't think there'll be any panic, and obviously you've got, you know, clear game changers on the bench for him. There'll be, you know, set times, I think, in his mind where he'll want to shift probably the system, the personnel, and you know, this isn't a disaster at all. Just being a goal behind, they want to stay in the game and want to be able to affect things with some potent options he's got on the bench, I'm sure.
Here's Lewis this time from the wide position. And Bob.
Well, the pattern of the game's not surprising me, but the lack of outball for Huddersfield is, to a degree. Redmond back here again, 40 yards from his own goal. Harness, probably not the flyer that he was earlier in his career. It's difficult for them to get up the pitch at all. They're not going to be able to carry it up there. They need runners to spring behind Manchester City's high line. Well, say high line there. Halfway in the opposition's half here. John Stones, the deepest player, near to the D.
Trying to make some space for Savinho, and he goes into the area again. Well, cleared by Josh Feeney. Foden. Bob against Redmond. How many times have those two come toe-to-toe? Nunez. Delicate from Stones to Savinho. O'Reilly. Lewis is trying to sneak around the back to get possession. Just can't get two touches in a row. So many times Huddersfield, when they get a clearance in. And the effort came from Mukasa. He's obviously got licence to go wide when he feels it's necessary.
Yeah, he's probably been the one furthest forward for the majority, but we've seen Foden dropping as deep as the centre-halves at times to get on the ball, and yeah, I think they're not playing with a set centre-forward, are they? So that fluidity is a huge strength of theirs tonight.
Foden, the goal scorer, on corner duty. It's in there. Wasn't clean contact first time around. And Sean Rowan to side a free kick.
Yeah, obviously desperately just trying to regain possession for his team, Mukasa, but that's not the worst free kick to give away, with a couple of Huddersfield to Rowan's right, starting to spring. And goes dead, and City can get back and recover in their shape.
City got a lot of criticism certainly on social media. Don't know how much weight you put behind that, Sam, but for their defensive attitude against Arsenal.
Very nearly got the job done.
Well, here's an opportunity. Redmond is forward and he goes for it, trying to pull the trigger. It's way off target, but it's a shot and it's an attempt at goal.
Well, did he need that additional touch? I think that, yeah, maybe would have sufficed. The first one off his chest, if he could have just moved his feet and put the volley away slightly earlier. expecting Manchester City to play with all the men behind the ball in future weeks. I think that was just a game plan for that one-off occasion at the Emirates. It very nearly paid off. I think it'll be more of the same, but having the opportunity or the times in games to spring from deep on the counter and play Haaland and see him in full flight, as we often did during his first season, that's been limited, I think, due to the opposition's defensive nature when they come up against City. A few better sights than seeing Haaland driving from deep in that fashion.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola implied that he will be okay for the Burnley game this coming weekend. He also said it's up to the coaching staff to look after players, like parents look after their kids. It's nice play by Wiles. He turned, gets Huddersfield going forward. Excellent defending again by Nico O'Reilly.
He's been the one, hasn't he, Sorensen, on a few occasions been able to get into threatening positions, but not been able to breach Manchester City's rear guard, create anything of note really on Trafford's goal, and that's the next bit. They're in the game. They've frustrated City to a degree. The majority of the possession, 90% of it, has all been in front of them. Not really caused too much on Lee Nichols' goal, but yeah, need to show a little bit more as an attacking threat if they're going to have designs of getting through this evening.
Foden frustrated that the pass didn't come when he made a forward burst. Riley has it again. He leaves it there for Savinho. Lukasa back again to the Brazilian. Here's Savinho, just 3 sub-appearances in the Premier League this season. I forgive him for being a little rusty. Last played for Girona. His contract ownership history has been complicated, the Brazilian. There's Wallace for Huddersfield Town. And Rowan forward, looking for the run of Dion Charles, who is the nominal front man, but I think if you looked at his average position, it wouldn't be the front.
These are tough nights for centre forwards, especially in this setup. He's not got anyone in close proximity to him when they're in possession. You can see the furthest forward players here kind of narrow off Wiles and Harness. Dion Charles here in defensive mode. I mean, that tells the story, doesn't it? Just one touch in the opposition's half, 4 touches cumulatively. Yeah, not a night he's going to remember fondly at the moment. A lot of work for nothing to show for it.
Bob comes inside a couple of Huddersfield players.
A decent job here, just making Manchester City go wide again. Wiles, Charles and Harness kind of narrow off, and Redmond and Sorensen left the deal normally with the wide players. Kasum's been dragged up there now as Redmond gets back into position. You're just trusting that your fullback can deal with this 1v1.
Savinho. Seizing the defenders, but they force him backwards. Nunes and then Stones. It was a cross or just a switch by Foden across the area. Stones to Bob. Foden again. And then it's Nico Lewis across. Sorensen is trying to shepherd it out to play, and it's a wise decision in the end from the Dane.
Yeah, maybe Lukasa, the nearest City player, to making contact with that delivery. Lovely pass, always looking forward. That's cushioned in beautifully from Lewis. No Manchester City takers, unfortunately, and maybe that's the downside of not having a centre forward in the lineup, as exquisite as the build-up was.
And a 4 times winner of this competition, Phil Foden. Go with his 6 Premier League titles. Quick feet from Foden. You imagine, I mean, I'm not trying to get him off the pitch already, but that he won't see the 90 minutes out, all being well for Manchester City if they are feeling comfortable. His pass was overhit there, asking a bit too much of Oscar Bob.
Yeah, it just changes a little bit, doesn't it? The overall picture with no extra time. I think you have to box slightly cleverer, and that cushion of a second goal becomes even more paramount for the Premier League side. They want to get him done and dusted, of course, but they have real trust in the players, I'm sure, that he's brought this evening to play a part. Some of the younger guys will be ready, I'm sure. Majority of them probably ready to go out and play League One, League Two, Championship football, whatever it may be, whatever stage they're at. They'll be more than ready to cope with an evening like this evening.
Yes, there's a long list of Manchester City players out on loan. You look at their academy lists, various players at various clubs. Here's Redmond. And into the penalty area it goes, and Sorensen was coming in to try and get on the end of that cross that came from Ben Wiles. It was the best that Huddersfield had produced.
Yeah, you can see Redmond just having a stretch there. I mean, he's got through some work in the first 45. That's the first time he's made inroads towards City's goal. 1v1. Lovely little pass. I was just thinking Wiles was going to step over that. Charles was well positioned to maybe just take it in and then set one of his teammates, but Wiles takes it upon himself to take the touch and try and flash it towards the far corner. Just can't get it onto the target. He's actually maybe pulled up, has he?
Well, he's had a defensive brief, hasn't he? The winger, the Dutch winger. Seems to be a problem with his right knee.
Well, we were talking before coming on air as to whether he may be the centre forward tonight, so it's been a completely different role for him. Left wing back, I would suggest, is his role currently, and then trying to fly down the left-hand side when Huddersfield, on the infrequent moments they've had a chance to get forward in numbers.
Have another look at the goal, shall we? The moment of magic from Phil Foden that separates the two sides.
Yeah, and a great example of, I suppose, a team that's done really well to be resolute and compact the middle part of the pitch, but if you switch off for a moment, quality players are liable to do things like that. Brilliant goal, and yeah, slightly not in terms of the pattern of the game, but they've not really created anything. City, Huddersfield have limited them, and it's just a moment of brilliance that separates the sides at the moment. He'll want that second goal, he'll want a little bit more creativity, a few more chances to fall their way and get the job done, so he can introduce a few of those younger players as we just spoke of.
Well, there's a smile on the face, and he advised to skip by the physio, and he did look all right, and then he turned around and grimaced again. It might just be the work that he's got through. Pep's got a plan for how they're going to get through. So it's not many shots, given the domination.
No, I don't think there's, off the top of my head, been a really presentable opportunity in the match. Foden scored a brilliant goal. Other than that, it's been, half opportunities for City, a few balls slung across the 18-yard box, but in the main, goalkeepers having quiet evenings.
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge, as it were, for James Trafford, isn't it? This is his chance, isn't it, to make an impact, and I can't barely remember him touching the ball.
Yeah, well, I made the comparisons between the game from last night and what we were potentially going to see this evening.
It's Savinho back to the edge of the penalty area. Rico Lewis to Nunez. And Bob.
And Lincoln City were going from the jugular against Chelsea from the off, physical, in their faces, dead balls, set pieces, really tested the Premier League outfit. This has been in complete contrast in terms of the style, sitting in, trying to frustrate, not going toe-to-toe really as of yet.
Savinho drops that shoulder again, and it's well defended by Murray Wallace, former Millwall man.
There will come a time, I think, in the game, if it remains at 1-0, that you probably take a defender out. That's the first thing tactically that you do. Remove one of the centre-halves, introduce an attacking player, and, yeah, of course, there's an abundance of goals, albeit in the lower levels, on the Huddersfield substitutes bench tonight.
Particularly Joe Taylor, the top scorer. Highly rated Alfie May as well. Here's Savinho, and he's run out of it by Lasse Sorensen.
Yeah, done fine. Two wing-back, Sorensen on the right-hand side. It's been a match for Savinho. And Bob and Redmond down on this near touchline. Actually gets done initially. Harness gets back into double up and just uses his strength to usher him out of play.
Huddersfield haven't had much joy in this competition until this season. Won 2 matches in 6 years and 5 in 10. Reached the 4th round since 2000. They're only 1 goal behind, remember, for all of the domination of City in terms of territory. 3 minutes being added on. Instant turnover of possession again. Nico Gonzalez, a £50 million midfielder. That's the size of the difference, isn't it? That's the player that City bring in with Rodri rested. Foden came through the ranks, of course. Sorensen saw the flight of the ball. Huddersfield tempted to come forward now, aren't they? This is the furthest up the pitch we've really seen the press, and it works. They get the ball back. It shows that they can play a little bit, but of course you try and play against City and we'll put pressure on you. End up back at Lee Nichols, and I think he's a bit straight-legged at that.
They won the ball back, Huddersfield. And then there was probably 5 black shirts converging on the midfield player. And the ball goes back to Nichols and comes to nothing. But yeah, it shows, doesn't it? Slightly more front-footed. City give the ball away, and we'll have to see a little bit more of that if any opportunity of getting back level.
Redmond was late in the challenge there on Rico Lewis.
Maybe the message has come from the touchline just to be a little bit more aggressive and to pressurise the City players on the ball deeper. Not really seen that intensity across the half we've seen in the last 2 minutes or so.
Well, with 5 substitutions available, there's no reason that you can't really go for it, is there? And then liven up in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, it's so difficult when you're playing against the best, essentially. But I would have liked to have seen Huddersfield been a bit more aggressive. Yeah, this is a very strong City team that Pep Guardiola has gone with tonight, but yeah, the fans applaud the team off, but they'll want to see a little bit more attacking impetus, I'm sure.
Well, the first half was illuminated by a little bit of Phil Foden magic. The goal that he took supremely is the difference between a very dogged Huddersfield side that has given up a lot of possession, but frustrated Manchester City. Apart from that, we'll have a look at the highlights in a moment. Half-time, though, at the Acu Stadium. Huddersfield Town 0, Manchester City 1.
Great, and as we approach the latter stages, then you play your cards and you look at your bench and maybe take one of those defenders out and get your wingers higher up the pitch. I think that would be a start. Not, you know, go too offensive, because then you'll get picked off, but I think there comes a time when they have to try and make John Stones and Nathan Aké for two defend rather than have the easiest nights of their careers, what it kind of is at the moment.
You're looking at the City bench. They've got some real kids on there. Stephen Fooney's 17. He played in the Football League Trophy against Oldham. We've got Jaden Heskey, who's the older of the Heskey boys, and Regan Heskey played 13 minutes for the academy last night. He's 17, very highly rated. Literally never seen him play. A brief clip on the YouTube, but it'll be interesting at what point Pep Guardiola feels he might give some of these guys a go.
Yeah, I mean, he'll want to get that second goal. I think that's enough of a cushion, despite there being the obvious opportunity. And I would imagine there will be a spell where Huddersfield are up, the supporters are up, and they feel that they'll get something from the game, maybe a flurry of corners or such like. Invariably you get that in any football match, despite the opposition that you are facing. So I think, you know, if that comes at 2-0, 3-0, Guardiola will be increasingly confident that they can make it through and roll the dice and bring on some of those younger lads. If it happens at 1-0, unfortunately you may see Bernardo Silva for one, Ruben Diaz possibly, just to safeguard their passage into the next round of the Cup. So we will see. Just think those natives have, I think, be pleased with the way they frustrated Manchester City and made them have to work for limited opportunities they've been able to make, but you don't want to have any regrets, and at the moment we've not seen any attacking flair, impetus, aggression, so they can improve in that regard.
Yeah, Calvin Phillips among the subs as well for Manchester City, which was a surprise, but yesterday in the press conference, Pep Guardiola almost ruled him out. He's had his partner, but a second baby, so well done to them. But he's also recovered from, he had surgery in the summer, so he hasn't played since last season. So again, it's another one. Yes, you just love the opportunity to play a little bit of football, because there aren't many games. If you're a fringe player, there aren't many ways to break back into the team.
Yeah, and that it has to be a motivating factor as well, irrelevant of what happens in terms of team selection in the latter stages. If Manchester City are going to get there, state your claim now, be a permanent fixture in the League Cup 11, if you like, and potentially leads all the way to silverware for some of these players. It's been a few years since Manchester City have done it. We don't know what the internal conversations are, but wouldn't hurt, would it, after the disappointment of last season, to get back to Wembley quick smart.
Lasse Sorensen, who was one of the penalty takers and scorers in their game against Leicester. All of their penalties have been taken by different players is a quirk. It's a really hard thing to plan, isn't it? Because you never quite know who's on the pitch at the end.
Well, I did know today they've had 12 different goal scorers in the league, Huddersfield as well, which, you know, is a rarity. I had a little look about at some of the other leading lights in League One, and nobody's anywhere near that number, and 14 across the two competitions, League and League Cup. So it shows they're not overly reliant on anyone. It's a very much a team, different players chipping in, hopefully for their sake. That could be a good omen ahead of the second half here.
Got Donnarumma on the bench, who won the Lev Yashin award for the best goalkeeper in the world last year. And PSG, curiously, sold him for 26 million. James Trafford, who cost more than that, has lost his place. 22-year-old and a player who would be thinking of going to the World Cup. So, an interesting situation that he finds himself in. But football is ruthless, isn't it, at the top level? So here we go again. City are in the black shirts and Huddersfield Town, with a fine history, are in the blue and white. Here's Harness and Sorensen. They immediately get on the front foot. Nico O'Reilly has to do some defending.
Yeah, presentable chance there for Huddersfield to cause an issue for Manchester City. And Sorensen, I mentioned it in the first half, he's a good footballer and he's looking to just punch that into one of the forwards' feet rather than just sling it in to the 18-yard box and hope. Looking to be a little bit intricate, unfortunately doesn't come to anything.
Huddersfield Town, one of the greats back in the day, back in the 1920s, won the FA Cup, won a series of league titles as well, rewriting the way that football was played. It was a long time ago. Yes, is in a bit of pain here. The latest one to be clipped by Redmond.
Looks like Redmond was feeling that as well. Just got the legs tangled, maybe feeling the effects. You can see already the position of Redmond. He's 15, 20 yards higher up the pitch. If you look at Sorensen in the right-back position now, they were level for the majority of that first half. So you could tinker with what you've got out there at times, and it looks like he's retreating a little bit now, but that's an obvious thing to just adjust. He can gamble a little bit more.
So Savinho to Foden, he's trying to get beyond Sorensen. Same 11 out there for Huddersfield, but it might just be a positional, a formation tweak. Savinho sees Nico O'Reilly on the outside, he plays it into the penalty area, and it trickled through. There were important challenges there as Mikasa tried to get a shot away.
A combination of Rowan and Wallace, I believe, flinging themselves in the way. It looked like it was going to be a good scoring opportunity. The aforementioned Huddersfield defenders both in there, and then again Redmond on the far post being diligent defensively.
Ben Wiles wins a throw in for his side. He Nichols was out of the team in the early part of the season. Then Owen Goodman, who had become the number one, was sent off in the game against Barnsley. Nichols has retained his place. Here's Sorensen, the League One Huddersfield Town.
The frustration in this near stand. Harness very central. Sorensen does supply the width down that side frequently, but a little bit lacklustre there. Huddersfield joining in with the right back.
There's Josh Feeney, 20-year-old, is on loan from Aston Villa. Feeney. It's controlled by Mikasa. Nico Gonzalez collects again. Savinho might just have a little bit more room in which to operate. Savinho. Nelson was quickly on to the misplaced pass by Foden, but it's a Manchester City throw. Nico Gonzalez. And yes, out to Oscar Bob, and again for the Portugal international, Brazilian born. Now Bob. Savinho towards the edge of the penalty area, then he pulls the trigger and it was off the target.
Good movement. O'Reilly, I think it was, made a little dart. It just drew the attention of Voss, to tracked him, and it allowed that space to open up. Did look like a corner. Kasumu, the second central midfield player, coming in to close. Yeah, clear as day. Should have been a corner to City.
They got the ball back moments later anyway. Here's O'Reilly. Settled back into the same position, haven't they? Then Redmond back in sort of left wing back berth. We'll see what happens now. They've got the ball.
Yeah, I'm getting fatigued just watching him, Redmond. I think it's that mental capacity as well to stay so concentrated and recognise when you have an opportunity to just cheat a little bit. And I think that's kind of the instruction. You know, don't feel like you've got to get back in and make up that back five at all times. You've got to be our out ball. As you can see now, as the ball turns over, can they transfer it to him quickly? Thought about it.
To Nichols. City defenders, strong aerial, of course. We always talk about Premier League defenders, how good they are on the ball, but they're also big and fast. Rowan nods it out of play. O'Reilly to Savinho. Nico Gonzalez, and O'Reilly breaks through. Here's an opportunity. Really good save by Nichols.
Read his intentions superbly well, the goalkeeper. O'Reilly, the way he was shaping up, it looked like he was going to go for the intro dink. He read it really well.
Redmond gets the ball through one way or another to Charles. Rowan joins in. Charles in the wide position. And Kasumu wins the free kick.
I would suggest that was probably the most eye-catching City move of the night so far. There's a touch from Gonzalez during the build-up that just took him the wrong side. Huddersfield's midfield. Look at the space, and then he executes the pass inside Sorensen. Yeah. Nichols showing all his experience. Recognised, probably from the shape of O'Reilly. The stride pattern that he was going to look to dink it left-footed.
Huddersfield have a free kick that's launched towards the penalty area and headed on. And it was an opportunity, it was a tough opportunity, but Redmond was coming in, he's volleyed it into the crowd.
Well, he looked second favourite when the ball was travelling from right to left. Does excellently to make it up, just a hopeful ball slung in there from Wiles. And they get that first touch. And yeah, a little bit slow to react. I think Lewis and maybe Foden there as well. Makes up the ground, decent attempt.
Good win for Josh Feeney as well, the young centre-back. A lovely play, but hey, Savinho, he's offside though. What a waste.
Yeah, shame. Sorensen played him well in the first half, but it was lovely playing. He's been caught out on a couple of occasions in quick succession. That's the Sorensen.
It's 3 years since City have been to the quarter-final stage of this competition. We'll see what the draw holds for one or other of these teams later. The round spread out over a couple of weeks, accommodating the teams in European competition. Rico Lewis, England international, versatile player. Savinho. Oh, lovely skill again. Sorensen, though, is dogged. He's sticking with him. Nico Gonzalez back to Savinho. He cuts it back, and it was well defended by Kasumu. Harness away for a handball.
They're working Sorensen, aren't they, down this side? After that initial 1v1 where he did really well, Sorensen to show him back the way. Gonzalez just threaded another lovely weighted pass in behind him for Savinho once more. Comes to nothing, and so far so good, I would suggest, really, for Lee Grant on his side. Just that one opportunity for O'Reilly since the break. And you get, another 10-15 minutes into this fixture, and then try and have an impact with one or two changes.
Shots on target, none yet for Huddersfield. Only 3 for Manchester City with that O'Reilly attempt. But here's Oscar Bob. Maybe there could be another attempt at goal here for Bob. He might just go it alone. It was cut back by Mukasa.
And it's just that Huddersfield changing from attack to defensive mode where they get caught out here. Just positionally, Redmond and Rowan eventually get back and able to get a toe on it, but Manchester City starting to find space, open space, and threatening.
It's a Foden set piece again. It's floated in, first contact by Murray Wallace. Is he appealing for shirt pulling going on? There's no VAR to have a look. There's nowhere to look, isn't there?
No, difficult, very difficult. Harness on John Stones, wasn't it? Not really looking at the ball, but most of the City players going to ground and hoping as well.
Foden delivers. Well won by Rowan. Nico Lewis. There's a ball out wide to Mukasa.
A lovely player, Lewis, just not really able to have a huge imprint on this game. And very, very high, a midfield player, but so congested, so little space for him to operate in. The game's just kind of passed him by as an attacking threat.
Savinho. Swept away by Feeney. Nunes. Bob from the wide position. Away it goes from Sorensen. Harness can't get anything on it. Rico Lewis. Foden. He's supposed to stay on his feet there, Phil Foden. Cleared by Feeney. Charles chasing willingly again. Savinho to Foden. On the outside of the boots he finds Oscar Bob. Nunes, and he gets inside of Redmond this time, Bob, and lifts his cross to the back post. Feeney's header will drop into the penalty area. Well struck by Mukasa. Nichols was in the right place.
Yeah, really good from Oscar Bob. One of few occasions he's been able to make inroads. Gets to the byline, lovely stand-up. Perfectly positioned, really. Feeney deals with it excellently, but can only steer it towards a City player. Just quite get the purchase on that, Mukasa.
And here he goes again, the 18-year-old. On O'Reilly in a little bit of space in the penalty area, well cleared by Rowan. And now gone, Manchester City have completed 528 passes. Keep counting, 530. Here's Bob. A bit of skill, and he drifts into the penalty area to go around his own player. It cost him a valuable second.
It felt like that, didn't it? And against Redmond's becoming a little bit of a mismatch.
So changes coming. Huddersfield were her first. Castledine coming on. Cameron Ashit. Castledine completing what seems to be a bigotry, having a Chelsea loanee somewhere in your squad. Marcus Arness mainly doing a defensive job tonight.
Yeah, one of those sobering moments to recall that I played with his father, Castledine.
Redmond finally gets his rest, so it's the nominal, hesitate to call them wingers, Sam, given that they haven't barely been on the wing.
And let's see if they can add something positively. He's got a great attitude. Castledine, watched him a lot coming through Chelsea's academy. Get you a goal. Both of them have actually scored beauties in this competition already. Two substitutes.
Volley, wasn't it, Castledine against in the Sunderland game, wasn't it, when they knocked them out? A volley on the run. Worth a look at. Nico Gonzalez, the goal scorer tonight, who's got a really good goal, Phil Foden. No move yet from that man. Vinya's drifted over. First time really tonight. Can't get any joy out of Rowan. Appeals for handball against Mateus Nunes. Now Aki. Ben Wiles. And she's touch. Huddersfield shows that they can play as well. They can move the ball around. Sorensen. Charles made a run. Drifted offside now. Castledine. To nudge. And gets the free kick.
Immediately just supplying a little bit more width on the right-hand side. Harness has been quite tucked in. He just drew the foul, sucked in that challenge from O'Reilly, gets the important toe on the ball. It's a clear free kick, and one opportunity already from a free kick from deeper position earlier in the half. Let's see what they can do from this one.
Some discussion. It is Sean Rowan who goes across. Is this the moment for the League One side? Rowan puts it in close to the goal. Murray Wallace who got it. It's a goal kick anyway.
Well, you know he's going to be one of the more aggressive attacking the ball. He's completely unmarshalled with Manchester City zonally occupying the edge of the 6-yard box, and it's him and Castledine actually almost come together there. Not sure if it was off him or possibly the young substitute.
First time I really saw Trafford trying to draw people in with the ball at his feet, which he is known for, sometimes unsuccessfully in his Premier League season with Burnley. Here's O'Reilly to Savinho. Nunez, Bob, and Nunez again. Bob again. Gonzalez sees a little gap. They get vertically up the pitch quickly this time, City, and Oscar Bob pulls the trigger. Another good save by Lee Nichols.
I just wondered as to whether Foden could drive there once he got turned on the ball. He's been waiting for an opportunity to find space. He'd found it there. He just looked to move it and strike it in one motion, really, Oscar Bob, trying to catch out Nichols at the near post, but makes the comfortable save.
Castledine just gave the ball away there to John Stones. How quick will City be with their counter?
It feels like City are going to get joy down the right-hand side, and were getting joy, hence the change, and it's just that flicking between attacking mode to defensive mode where Shire now has the tough task, the toughest task, I think, of all Huddersfield players tonight, at left flank, trying to keep Nunez, Foden, Bob quiet when they're creating overloads and when you're trying to get back in there to be an additional body.
Savinho, one-on-one with Sorensen. He gets his cross in towards the back post, and it was headed down. Bob. He goes towards the highlight. Well defended again. It was a mass of defenders in there for Huddersfield. They're doing their job. Savinho, Feeney, Boston, they play it out nicely. Now Castledine. Sumu. Cameron Ashia. Huddersfield grow into this game, into the last quarter of it now.
Yeah, they've started to look a little bit more threatening in the wide positions, that's for sure. Some quality crosses coming in, and I think he just tries to do Nichols with his eyes there, or even his body shape, just flashed it towards the near post, looking square.
Excellent work by Kasumu in the midfield there for Huddersfield. There's Castledine. And he goes for a goal. That was optimistic. We say he can score a good goal. Saw the glory there before his eyes.
Well, it's the wrong choice ultimately, but it's really positive, and we've not seen any of this. Players driving with the ball. It's good play. Just need to shift it to one of those Huddersfield teammates in support. Those opportunities have been limited. Why not?
If Huddersfield will go again. Jay Sway coming on. Nico O'Reilly. Terrific pace. Ball to Savinho. Bob is arriving, but he doesn't get there. Thrown away. Nunez again. And Foden again. Well, he fancied the long-range effort. It came off Kasumu. Good headed pass forward to Oscar Bob. No changes yet for Manchester City. With 20 to play. And Savinho collects again.
It's so difficult to forge opportunities on Huddersfield's goal. I can't believe Savinho's turned down the chance to just swing his right foot at the ball there. He was just going to curl it towards the far side.
Here's again Savinho. Sorensen doing the marshalling job again, but he gets the cross into the penalty area. Comes out to Nunez. Nico Gonzalez, edge of the penalty area. Mukasa tried a shot through a forest of bodies. Oscar Bob, Phil Foden cuts it back. Cuts it back. There were, what, 5 black shirts in front of where he cut the ball back to.
Looking more likely though, aren't they? Just tiptoeing through Huddersfield at will the last 5 minutes or so. And you're right, 3 or 4 players attracted to the 6-yard box, and Phil Foden puts it behind all of them. You can see here the way they've narrowed off throughout the evening. It's pushed City wide, and it's left Sorensen in this scenario time and time again.
Savinho has crossed the ball quite a few times, but never dangerously to a teammate who wasn't surrounded by players.
I mean, there's no thrills, is it? But the 2 central midfield players would have got through a lot of work. Boston, Kasumu just shuffling side to side, cutting off the passes into the likes of Foden, O'Reilly and Lewis. I mean, they've essentially been the 2 players playing, I would say, unfamiliar roles, but they're both midfielders by trade, I believe. O'Reilly certainly. They've been really pushed on with the ball for City, but it's just so congested there. They've not been able to really get in for too many opportunities to create or shoot.
Savinho. They work it to Nunez in the penalty area. He tries a shot. Then a little bit of pinball comes to Foden again. Now Savinho, can he get a shot away? Yes, he can. What a finish, what a goal. The quality has shone through. And Manchester City surely doing enough to go through.
Well, it certainly felt like it's been coming. And Foden celebrates with Savinho. He's the architect of this second to add to the beautiful goal in the first half. It actually could have been shifted a little bit quicker by Phil Foden. He takes a touch, ricocheting around, takes that touch, surveys his options, and Savinho's still got Sorensen to breach and the goalkeeper Nichols, but it's pure power, smashes it off the underside of the bar. It's a really good finish from Savinho, who's looked in the mood since the break. And City now with that cushion, surely for a safe passage into the next round.
fourth goal for Manchester City in his 52nd game in all competitions.
What I like about that is it's probably the only option available to him, so the awareness to put it towards the roof of the net with real power, venom. If he'd have gone for guile, if he'd have taken a touch, Sorensen probably recovers, or Nichols has the opportunity to make a save. Great decision-making from the wide man.
Nick O'Reilly's off. Quarter of an hour to play when they get the second goal. Entirely what I was expecting. I was expecting kids to come on, but that's Gianni Reinders, who's played every minute of the Premier League campaign. Phil Foden's off.
Yeah, despite it being, you know, a tough night against a team who have been sat in, lack of space, he's still purred on occasion.
Radulovic there in the attack for Huddersfield. So it was Charles who went off for Radulovic. Sorensen finally gets a rest, replaced by Jay Sway, the youngster. And Foden off for Reinders, as we saw. And that's Jaden Heskey, number 81. So he's the 19-year-old forward, been at Manchester City since he was an 8-year-old. In those days, Emil played for Birmingham City. Rico Lewis and Savinho is in space now, motoring towards the penalty area. Is there a finish? No, there's a really good recovery challenge.
That really was from Sway, the substitute, just fresh into the action and probably didn't get his distances right initially. He's got a lot of ground to make up, but he covers the distance. Helped out a little bit by the recovering Feeney as well. And for Savinho, just as he was poised.
Another corner into that penalty area. Wallace away. Reinders. So Lewis has just gone into left back, I think, hasn't he? Versatile player. Here's Heskey. Bob was held up. Grant some detailed notes. He might have more. He's got more changes left to him if he wants to use them. Bradford have pulled a goal back against Newcastle. Drulovic goes down, wins a free kick.
A little bit more physicality at the top end for Huddersfield, whether it'll make a jot of difference in the 10 or so minutes that remains, we'll wait to see. But in these type of situations, a little bit more power aerially, if they want to stick a few more balls in from wide, should they gain the territory.
Drulovic, Spain-born, Serbia under 21, made his debut against Manchester City a couple of years ago when they played in the FA Cup. Rowan's free kick. Offside, presumably against Josh Feely. Nico Gonzalez being pursued by Radulovic, but he gets it through to Lewis. And Savinho again, to the penalty area again, chops inside of Sway. Nico Gonzalez urged to shoot, there was power in that, but it was over the top.
Again, his speed, just getting him out of trouble there a little bit, Sway, the substitute. Giving him a little bit too much space, Savinho. And time to take a touch, and a decent sight of goal there, Gonzalez, but can't keep it down.
So both sides making more changes. Calvin Phillips is coming on to get some minutes. So we'll get 10 minutes, important for him in his recovery from an injury. Savinho off as well, got his goal and played his part. And that is the other Heskey boy, Regan Heskey, who is on, and also Marthy May.
You'd imagine that when Miles may just drop back a bit, the addition of another out-and-out centre-forward, so yeah, that's Huddersfield going to have a slightly different look about them, certainly more potency on display. Can they set up a tense finish for City?
Regan Heskey was he's the younger of the Heskies at 17. He's the one who played last night for 13 minutes. He was born when his dad was playing for Wigan.
A nice local game for Calvin Phillips. Got a bit of stick from the Huddersfield fans. In association with Leeds.
Carried out of play, throw in for Manchester City. Now had 16 shots and 6 of them on target. It's wrapped up in the second half.
Yeah, 64-5, those touches in the opposition box, and yeah, I don't think you can read too much into that. It's probably the game we kind of anticipated. Just a little bit disappointed that Huddersfield haven't put Manchester City under a little bit more pressure at any stage, really. There's not been that concerted period, maybe where they've had City on the ropes. That normally would happen, I think, in any cup tie, lower league against Premier League. Been a comfortable night, no yellow cards. I'm not advocating crossing the line, but I want to see the lower league team getting in the Premier League players' faces, and we've not seen enough challenges, enough aggression probably to just affect the top class on display.
Gordon Heskey with the challenge. Nothing made. Radulovic, touch wasn't perfect, and two players are down, aren't they? There he goes on. Radulovic gets back up again. Amazing what the ball being won back can do for you. Wiles trying to get Rowan away and into the penalty area.
It was a shame because Castledine did great once more. Flipped it towards Radulovic, but a loose touch and coming together between him and Heskey. Nothing doing, according to the officials, and City able to survive comfortably.
Rangers. Now John Stones. Johnny Reinders made the forward run again. Goes wide to Regan Heskey. Calvin Phillips comes in. Isn't able to win the ball back. Sway can lead a counter-attack now for Huddersfield Town. Radulovic going through the middle. He goes wide to Karen Ashia. Can he get a shot away? Yes, he can. He's so unlucky off the post. It comes back his way. And Huddersfield have gone close to making a game of it there. Rowan. Back into the penalty area. Stones away. That's got the home fans raising the volume levels. May battling away. It's a good spell now for Huddersfield Town. Must have given a handball there against the man who just struck the woodwork.
Well, they've waited so long to have space open up and have players up the pitch, and Sway use it beautifully. And I think I'm right in saying that Ashia, had this gone in, it was a carbon copy of the goal he got against Leicester in this competition a month or so ago. This is clearly a strong suit, coming infield on his right boot and bending it towards the far corner. So unfortunate. What an impact that would have been.
Scored on his Football League debut as well. He's a 20-year-old, couple of goals this season. One against Manchester City would have been something else though, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, things to remember for the rest of his career. It was the first time really they've had bodies forward. I think it was a 4v3 momentarily, and young right back used the ball well. Not so much there.
So Regan Heskey back to Reinders and touched on, and it just bobbled away from Bob. 3 minutes to be added on. Of course, Swansea City turned around their Carabao Cup tie last week against Premier League opposition after the 90th minute. It might have been if that shot had gone the right side of the post. Here's Castledine. Jay Sway. Cross deflected off a defender, behind for the corner. Alfie May's effort.
Yeah, much better play, and Alfie May's the architect. Lovely play in the midfield into Castledine. Sway and May's continued his run, joining the attack, and get a late opportunity for the consolation.
So can Huddersfield Town grab something? In by May. Renders to Regan Heskey. He comes inside. Can he get a shot away? He can, and Nichols gets down and beats it away.
Lovely approach play. Just dropped the shoulder, shifted it infield beautifully. Just couldn't get it close enough to the corner. Nichols comfortable, parrying it to safety. Uses that decoy run, Reinders down the outside, and as you can see there, Nichols comfortable, even pushing it into a spot where a Huddersfield player was waiting.
So Lee Grant will look upon this. It'll be fascinating to see what he says about it. I mean, there's plenty of things to compliment his players on. They put a lot of effort in, they put a strong shift in, and they come up against a very, very good team. Ultimately, Manchester City had too much for Huddersfield Town. It's a fairly comfortable win, in truth, even though they didn't run away with it. Phil Foden with a lovely strike in the first half. Savino matched him in the second, crashing the ball in off the underside of the crossbar. And it was unlucky there for Cameron Ashia. Almost got a famous moment for him. His shot that hit the inside of the post and rebounded away to safety for Manchester City, and they are safely through into the draw for the next round. Never really in doubt. Accomplished and professional from Pep Guardiola's men. Full time at the Acu Stadium. Huddersfield Town 0, Manchester City 2. Well, no disgrace at all, Sam Parkin, for the performance for Huddersfield Town.
No, you can tell from the reception of the punters who make their way out that they've been pleased with the endeavour of their team. The setup, I don't think you could question from the outset whether they could have just rolled the dice a little bit earlier. Maybe you could question. I think the fact that Joe Taylor was left on the side and Alfie May was only introduced latterly tells you that their bread and butter. The aim for the season is to get around the playoff shake-up minimum in their League One campaign. Tonight was a bonus, and there'll probably be a little bit of regret from some of the front players that they couldn't cause one or two more problems and leave the night with the goal, or at least leaving your mark on some of these City superstars. In truth, pretty comfortable for the Premier League side. Not a lack of plan or endeavour from Huddersfield, but just didn't have enough in their attacking arsenal Pep Guardiola's men.
Presumably having a little chat in Spanish to Raduljevic. He's known for occasionally, pretty randomly, talking to opposition players. I can't imagine what he's got to say to them. So the City supporters, good opportunity to come and see their side play away. It's hard to get tickets for Premier League games, of course, at times, and it's a short trip as well. It's an odd occasion where everybody seems fairly happy.
Yeah, and I think probably no injuries or not anything we know of for Huddersfield there, nothing obvious, so they can be pleased with the account they gave, and I suppose it accentuates and captures